Well, today Ryan and I will share 5 smart spending tips to help you get through this holiday season. So stay tuned.
A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but the beautiful. A rich man.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Money Mindset Mastery podcast. I'm your host, Jim Leo, and joining me today is my co host, Ryan Janot. Ryan, how are things today?
It's a ho holiday spending event
Oh
today.
God.
So
Here we go. Good
that's right.
good thing you did good thing you didn't pop up with the elf outfit that
Yes,
you had sent me in advance. I was a little nervous.
I'm a December kid, so therefore holidays is in my repertoire. So
Yeah, for sure.
celebrating and
Yeah.
enjoying.
Yeah. Well, and I almost showed up with one of those ugly Christmas sweaters, but then I realized I don't think I have any that are appropriate for video. So I skipped that for today. And in speaking of the whole holiday cheer and the holiday season, like I can't believe we're hitting the finish line to 2023. And as a result of
Yeah.
that, there's a lot of people thinking about their holiday spending this year. And today we're going to talk about managing holiday spending effectively. And this really was a result of a recent blog post that was written by Suzanne Yar Khan, and she wrote it for Cashflow Inc. Um, talking about how to, again, effectively manage your holiday spending.
Yeah, it's obviously one of the biggest things coming into this year, and obviously, Black Friday. People when the holiday spending will start commencing. Uh, and for those people, obviously, it's one of the things that we want people to share in the comments is how are you helping yourself through this holidays, especially with spending and looking for new ideas. Again, we want to create a community of educating people of different ways to do things, and
Yeah.
obviously, here's some ideas of what we've come up with, and we'll talk about that throughout our podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna run through some of the ideas shared by Suzanne. We're going to probably sprinkle some of our own ideas in there as well in terms of what we have done, or what we do. And I think also what I'd like for people to do, if at all possible, if you're listening or watching live right now on any of our platforms, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, throw in a comment. Let us know, what do you do to help you kind of get through the holiday spending season. And if you're listening to this as a podcast recording afterwards or on YouTube, same thing. Just send us a comment, or some ideas, because we really are trying to help as many people as we possibly can, kind of get through this holiday season. It's been, I don't know, 3 years where financially things have been very challenging for many
Yep.
people, starting with COVID, right? And then we kind of got past that, and things seem to be okay, slightly for a recovery. And I think we were all looking forward to, wonderful things happening moving forward. And then we got hit with inflation and interest rate, spikes, and this year it's probably as bad as I can remember in terms of what I'm hearing from people and some of the struggles that they're dealing with. So it's one of the main reasons why we're doing this episode today. And I think it's
Yeah.
also going to be the last episode of 2023,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
And yeah, the talked about before about understanding your cash flow, understanding the behaviors that throughout the year, and
Yeah.
creating great habits. And I know we've talked about budgeting is not necessarily a longer term plan, but creating shorter goals. And this is one of those examples of setting a goal for yourself and for your family about not overspending through the holiday season because of the stresses that it often adds, and other ways that we can make sure that track with that goal. So
Yeah. So we're
yeah,
gonna we're gonna offer up some insights on what people can do. I guess the first thing we should start off in talking about is really the cost of the holidays. And it's not just gifts, it's
mhm,
also food, dinners. Some people who do like to go out to a Christmas party and are looking to dress up nicely because a lot of people don't get out much anymore post COVID.
yep,
So it is fairly expensive, and I think Suzanne had mentioned, was it 2022, Ryan, that the average person was planning on spending about $1,400
Yeah.
for the holidays, but this year we don't have a number, but the sense is that people are going to be spending a lot less than they normally do because they just don't have the money to spend.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And
Yeah,
great way to look at different ways to do that spending, right? And we'll go through the 5 smart tips that Suzanne mentions in her blog, but also, again, as we said, what are you doing out there? And we'll sprinkle some of that our own joy for people that they're preparing for what they're going to purchase for people, experiences to make the holiday season a little bit more enjoyable and a little on the credit card spending.
right.
Um, so yeah, the Suzanne mentions 5 smart spending tips, and the first one being, make that list. She says, as Santa, check it twice to what you've purchased. I find myself, I make lists throughout the year that I'm constantly adding and taking away things to, and avoid the danger of impulse shopping, and which is one of the big things that can happen for the holiday season. Is you kind of get carried away with trying to make it a great experience for loved ones, for your partner, but to to make the list of what was most important for them. And for my son, you know I'm already shopping for him back in, usually when I'm looking for little things to be stocking stuffers, um, and or maybe perhaps a big purchase for him for the Christmas underneath the tree. So
Yeah, my wife Carol, she basically, not intentionally, it's not intentional, but I'd say she starts shopping in January, right? Throughout
mhm,
the whole year, she's looking for sales and opportunities. And we might be somewhere in the middle of June. She's like, "Oh, this would be a great gift for so and so for Christmas," and that's not my mindset. Like for
yeah,
me, when it comes to Christmas, I used to be the December 24th guy.
mhm,
I'm now maybe December 15th guy, so I'm definitely a lot better than I used to be.
yeah,
And I never really put together a list before. It was,
yeah,
I know the people I have to buy for, so I'm just going to go out and whatever I see, I'll buy. I've
yeah,
definitely shifted my mindset there. Especially kind of going through the program of becoming a certified cash flow specialist. So
mhm,
now it's, I have a list of the people I have to buy. I
yeah,
have my budget in mind for each individual, but it's not just writing a list and budgeting for the gifts. Again, it's also for the dinners, for
yeah,
charity, for travel. Many people are traveling for Christmas. I know in the past with Carol's family, they don't live where, close to where we live, and we're flying up to
yeah,
northwestern Ontario or flying to Alberta, and that's a significant expense as well. So
mhm,
it's literally putting together that list, having maybe your total spending budget
mhm,
is an idea, and then just breaking it down based on each category, and then even from there breaking it down in terms of the gifts. Okay, this is what I'm spending per person moving forward. So, and I don't think anything we're going to be sharing today is going to be like mind blowing and something that people haven't heard. But this is more of a refresher, maybe, or a reminder, some tips, just some considerations
yeah,
for you to consider, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
the next tip that Suzanne shares is be mindful when shopping.
mhm,
So looking at leveraging sales, that's a big one.
yeah,
And there are a lot of sales, to your point, Black Friday and
yeah,
Cyber Monday. Usually
yeah,
there's some pretty good sales there.
yeah,
Even in the beginning of December, you start to see the early sales happening for Boxing Day. And I
mhm,
remember when I used to work retail, people would come in the first 2 weeks of December and we'd have our pre-boxing sale, and a lot of people would say, "I'm just going to wait till Boxing Day because it's going to be that much cheaper." And it really never was. Like
yeah,
your cost is your cost as a owner of a store,
yeah,
and a lot of the pricing, whatever we were selling things in the first 2 weeks of December at pre-Boxing Day sales, that's the sale price on Boxing Day as well. So take advantage of those opportunities too.
yeah. Yeah, some of the sales for a lot of people are coming on the Boxing Day, and I've always joked to say, "Hey, why don't you start celebrating Christmas on like December 29th?" You know, you young kids won't know the difference really. They're off for a couple of weeks. They won't know. Take advantage of some of those deals that are happening.
Yeah,
And I find too that I'm with something in mind, but sometimes I come across something better along the way. And people often either forget to return something, or, as in my son's case, his birthday is shortly after the new year,
right.
that I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to put this one aside and put it aside to make sure. And for me too, getting carried away of where I put stuff, I've definitely found Christmas gifts that I bought for last year this year because I forgot about it because stuck it in the garage somewhere. So it happens,
Right.
and I know a lot of other families have put stuff away and don't realize. So part of being mindful of the shopping is writing what you've purchased, knowing where you've placed that item, so you don't forget what it
Almost
is.
drawing a map.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
treasure. It's a
So
treasure map. Here's where I
yes,
placed this in the house. X marks the
yeah.
spot.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you never forget about it. Otherwise, the raccoons and squirrels in the attic will have something to play with
Yeah.
all year. So yeah,
And the other thing I think people should be mindful of is the whole price matching thing. Like it works, but I
yeah,
find sometimes people will share with me is, yeah, I drove like an hour for this price match, and I
yeah,
would think to myself, how much did how much did you spend in that scenario? And maybe it was like 10, 15, $20. And by the time you factor in the gas and the wear and tear and the time, that's an hour there, an hour back,
mm,
maybe broke even in that situation. So just also be mindful, if you're making a day of it, you're going out somewhere and you're going to do other shopping, wonderful. That's a great idea. But if you're
yeah,
going to drive a half hour, an hour to a place just to price match to save $10, you might just want to reconsider that because you might be spending more in the travel cost than
mhm,
you're going to really benefit from that price matching. Would you
yeah.
agree with that, or am I off base on
I
that one?
no, I'd say people often think that they're saving a few dollars. I think about it throughout the year in grocery shopping.
Right.
The price matching of, oh, eggs are $7.99 here, but they're 6.99 here, but for that dollar saved, that's
Yeah.
probably $2 worth of gas plus my time
Yeah.
going from place to place. So yeah, being very mindful of where it is and how good of a deal it is for that. Now if you're obviously, then
Mhm.
then that could be more worthwhile, and that quality time singing Christmas carols in the car, just like Mr. Griswold does in Christmas Carol, or not Christmas Carol, National Lampoon's Christmas movie, Christmas Vacation. So
Right.
yeah. So for tip number three, understanding, as we've talked about before with cash flow, using different accounts and specific accounts built for a goal like holiday spending,
Mhm.
to make sure that, and being able to put a little bit of money aside into that account to make sure you stay on track. So I know, but many times when we're meeting with clients uh, about making sure that the money's going to a different account, so you don't see it
Mhm.
and you know that here's a goal specifically. Um, tips that you've noticed for clients that you come across with?
No, I because it's very similar to your point. What we recommend to our clients when we walk them through a behavioral cash flow plan, we
Mhm.
identify the committed expenses and spendable, and we
Yeah.
we try to separate the two in terms of a bank account. So the spendable is that's your variable expenses,
Mhm.
things like going out and for dinner, getting groceries, whatever it is. They're never really fixed. So to
Mhm.
have an actual account where all of your spendables, or sorry, variable expenses come out from. So similar to doing this with holiday spending is
Mhm.
having a bank account with a debit card. I mean, cash would be even better, but I think some people might just be a little bit nervous walking around with $1,000 cash or $500 cash, which
Yeah.
we understand. But it kind of resembles how we used to do things before we really had debit cards and credit cards, where we would go out with X amount of cash in our wallets or our pockets, and
Hmm.
that was our spending for the week when it came to our variable expenses, and also on holiday shopping. Right, is that's what I have is $500, and that's what I'm going to spend. And once you run out of it, you've run out of it. So
Yeah.
really want to try to do that, and you can get low cost savings accounts. A lot of the virtual banks offer them where there's like no fee accounts, and just build up that account as your holiday spending account, and then again have a debit card attached to it, and just kind of control your spending that way. It makes a very big difference
Yeah.
by that one little move. It's really a small move,
Yeah.
but it makes a huge difference as well.
Yeah. The using of cash again is always good, but I have stories of retail. In my days, two stories that happened a matter of 4 days apart.
Mm,
I was I used to work retail also, and found a cash envelope full of
right.
$600 right
Okay.
through the middle of the holiday season. And 4 or 5 days later, one of my staff found a $1,500 envelope full of cash.
Really? Wow.
Um, we were very fortunate on both occasions uh, that we were able to track down the people that were the owners of the cash. But man, oh man, $500 or $600, $1,500 is an awful lot of money to suddenly lose, especially since it's dead for holiday spending.
Yeah.
Um, and something that we talked about recently that it's funny because I know a couple people and it happens to myself too when it comes to holiday spending is make sure you dig into your drawers and your purses and your wallets and bring out some of those gift cards that you've
Yeah.
forgotten about for many many years.
Yeah.
um, Having worked retail, obviously gift card part of uh, the sales strategy for companies, but the number that was always thrown around was that in the first 4 to 6 months, 80% of gift cards get used in the
Yep.
first 4 to 6 months. So, but after that, uh, nearly 85% of those gift cards never get used after that.
Really?
So here's a large sum of money that is likely sitting for everybody to use. That's probably in a drawer or a purse or a wallet right now. So I am
Mhm.
encouraging people of making sure that they make use of those gifts. And then some of those gift cards do have expiration dates to be aware of that too. So you want to make sure you're not losing essentially what's become free money for
Yeah.
you to use and help build that into your plan too if you can find them, especially now leading up to holiday season. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know with my kids. So when Liam gets gift cards, are pretty much spent within or used within the first couple of weeks because he's
yeah,
excited. He wants to use them.
yeah,
Serena, on the other hand, to your point, like a year later, Carol was like, "Hey, let's kind of look through to see what gift cards you have," and all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, you have $100 Joshua Mall you haven't spent yet." Like,
yeah,
go, use it. So you're right about that. And sometimes I'm guilty of that as well. I'll go through my wallet, as because I'm I guess a merce kind of guy and a wallet kind of guy. That's kind of like, one of the things that I like. So I do change up my wallets frequently. And
yeah,
sometimes as I'm, transitioning or transferring things from one wallet to another, I'll look and say, oh, I forgot I had this gift card to that store. And I put it in
yeah,
my wallet to make sure that I wouldn't forget. But, like you buying gifts in June, you forget.
yeah,
So maybe I have to have some kind of beeper or something to remind me every so often, hey, you got a gift card in your wallet. Look
yeah,
for it and use it. So
yeah. I have
that's
I
a
have
good
two
point.
I have two gas cards that I are worth about $50 each that I have not found, and that's been a year, and I know they're somewhere in
Really.
this house. So yes, I mean, especially in gas prices. So
Yeah,
time to do some more spring cleaning. So
you're right.
um,
All right.
yeah,
So
so
then tip number 4, we have what rethinking credit card use.
yeah,
So I
yes,
think one of the things here, credit cards aren't bad. I know a lot of people kind of make them out to be like bad things. They're a great tool if used properly. And what I would
absolutely.
say is, in terms of credit cards, if you're going to do some spending during the holiday seasons, if you have a credit card that gives you points,
Mhm.
use that credit card, right? Because you'll get some of that back in the
Yeah,
following year, and even redeem some of those points to help buy some gifts. I know with Carol, she came to me just last week because she has her PC points and that she uses. And
Yeah.
I think at the time she's like, yeah, like I've accumulated $500, worth of points that we can use towards buying, the food for Christmas because we're hosting Christmas this year, right?
Yeah.
I never thought about that, but I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then I started to think about some of the point cards that I had. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, you know what? I can redeem some of those points to get some gifts for people, and um, so use your credit cards. Just again, try to stay within a budget. And the one thing you can do, which is great, I mean, I'm a techie guy and I love technology, and now the banks offer this feature is put some spending alerts on your credit card. So if your budget is
Mhm.
$500, $800, whatever that number is, set up the alert on your app for that credit card. And once you're approaching that limit, that spending limit, you'll be notified saying, "Hey, you're reaching your limit," and then you can decide from there if are going to continue on or stop, right?
Yeah.
So there are tools now that are available to help us stay on track.
Yeah.
Anything
And
else to
same
add to
with
that?
credit card. Well, I was going to say, anytime it comes to credit cards, uh, it comes down to security, safety, when making sure you're not saving your cards on some browsers that accidentally get used by your kids perhaps a little often, and or just in general, because it helps save you the heartache of having to go through making the phone calls to credit cards when you've had some mischarges. I know I've had it in the past, and it's because you know you filled your credit card and it says, "Do you want to auto save?"
Yeah,
As nice as that is, uh, potentially create some problems for yourself. So just
yeah,
some cybersecurity there. So
yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty, you want to take us into tip number 5?
So tip 5 was about holiday gift exchange and group donations. Especially around the holiday season, whether it's family, um, company things, doing gift exchanges always can be a very fun event to do. Um, I know when the family gets larger and larger, the families often try to buy as many gifts for the kids, but sometimes it's good to consider a simple gift exchange. Um, there's White Elephant, I think it's called, where you do like or Santa Claus, um, but it's about staying within a budget and making sure you're staying within kind of the simple instructions within that, and not being you know going above and beyond what you
Yeah.
should and what you can expend. So um,
We actually
other than
implemented that in our family.
yeah.
So I mean, I in my on my side of the family, we have a total, including my kids, 10 nieces and nephews.
Yep.
And a few years ago, we made the decision that once they reach the age of 18,
Yep.
they're part of the Secret Santa crew. So the adults, myself with my siblings and spouses, we started
Mhm.
Secret Santa a while ago, and
Mhm.
then my first nephew turned 18, and we're like, well, he can come into the group.
Mhm.
So we've had a couple, added to the group, and then this year we've had three all of a sudden. My daughter and my niece and nephew who just turned 18. So it makes
Yep.
a huge difference,
Yeah.
right? Because now you can spend a little bit more for that single person,
Yeah.
but you're still saving overall because you're not, trying to budget for 9 other people, 10 other people, right? So
Yeah.
that's a huge one for sure. And
Yeah.
even the group donations ones, I like the idea of donating, like for example, if there's a family in need,
Mhm.
like adopting that family for the holidays and providing them with some gifts and food in place of, like, Carol and I, we've been married for a long time. It's getting harder to, find or buy gifts for each other.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we're starting to talk about is, instead of gift exchanging between the two of us, maybe we just adopt a family, and whatever we were going to spend on each other, we just spend and help out a family. So that's something that we've been talking about as well.
Yeah.
And recently here, and this is going back to recognizing that people are struggling right now. There's a local charity. well, they're not even charities, actually a local family who started this program a few years ago, where they
Mhm.
collect gifts that we donate to seniors
Yep.
because they seem to be the forgotten people. Like many of them are in homes without family. They don't receive gifts. They don't share gifts, and they miss it on the Christmas holiday.
Yep.
So this group will put out the word. We're raising, or we require X amount of Christmas bags to donate, and they will donate them to these various homes. This year was the first year in a few years where a week up to the deadline, they were still short about 280 gifts or bags.
Mhm.
I don't recall that ever happening before,
Yeah.
but it's been a struggle this year because a lot of people are, who did donate before are struggling financially, and they just don't have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
But thankfully, some businesses came through and were able to meet the goal and able to help them out.
Yeah.
So just even little things, people aren't looking for big things. Slippers, a pair of slippers is really nice. A nice little gift. Some mitts, a hat. It doesn't have to be something significant,
Yeah.
but getting into group donations, you're doing good for other people too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that'll
and it's
make you feel
something that I
good.
heard. Yeah, it's something I heard recently from a couple families in our neighborhood was that they'd pooled their money together, and whether it was going towards community care, essentially, our local school did the same thing, went door to door collecting for the local food bank. Senior stockings for seniors
Yeah,
is the same thing, going to a group home, but doing all at this time of year is about believing and giving. So
yeah,
um, there's lots of great ways. And again, as we said earlier, we'd love to hear how other people are doing it this year when
hmm
when you're looking for a great organization that has a meaningful cause that we could through through just
yeah,
sharing the word. So yeah.
yeah. So I guess now that we've gone through the 5 tips, how do we rate some of those things in our every day to day? Any ideas that you can share, Ryan?
Well, mine is always about self.
Yeah.
Just being aware of what what is most important to each individual when you're buying gifts.
Mhm.
I will jokingly always say about I've love languages. Same goes
Right.
for their money language, and just having a simple discipline of setting a budget and sticking within it.
hmm
And that's one of the biggest things about just helping yourself create that habit from day to
hmm
day and as you go through the holiday season. Um, and then how this just really applies to day to day life when when spending in general, whether it's uh, the year, um, and money on clothing and whatnot. It's just about creating your monthly budget and
hmm
allowing that budget to flow over to the next budget if you don't spend it all,
Yep.
or create to, hey, I saved money this month. Let's put it towards next year's goal or
hmm
my retirement goal or potential of buying uh, a vacation time. So those are some of the things that I've noticed for myself too, of just making sure that I'm writing down exactly what are going to be meaningful gifts for people, and not just simply to fill the Christmas tree because well, my son can't tell me what 2 or 3 items that he got last year or the year before were for the holidays, but
Yeah.
what he does remember is the experience that we had or an activity or board game that we played. So
Yeah.
this year was it chickens versus hot dogs? I think is his board game that he would like. And last year it was uh, throw burrito, which is a hilarious game to play, by the way, with the family.
You're making
So
me hungry.
all these games named after food
Yeah.
items.
All righty.
So
Well, let's talk about maybe then kind of getting past the holiday season. Whoops! I almost dropped my microphone there. Um, there's going to be a bit of a hangover that typically happens in January. after we've gone through the spending and people start to see their credit card balances or their accounts, balances go down a certain threshold. So there's going to be a bit of again a hangover from it. So there's ways that we can help you, get ready for 2024, and that's through our behavioral cash flow planning program that we launched in 2023. And just to quickly go through, what is involved or what you receive in that program. So the first thing is we will provide you with a fully written and completed behavioral cash flow plan. So that's one of the steps. So we're going to walk you through that process to help find some of the behaviors that we might help you adjust or change to put you in a better financial situation in 2024. So that's one of the things that we offer through the program. Secondly, we also offer access to our financial capability program. So with the financial capability program, there are 12 educational modules that you would walk through to again assist you identify what some of the behavior changes that we can make, and
Mhm.
to help you identify those and make those adjustments. You also have access to our Winton app. The Winton app will help you stay on track to make sure that your committed expenses are getting dealt with on a regular basis, and also that you are spending within the spendable amount that we've identified that you have access to. And then finally, we do offer on an annual basis 4 1-hour coaching sessions to help you kind of bring it all together and make sure that you are on track and you remain on track, not just with the behavioral cash flow plan itself. What we're finding is a lot of people aren't really going through the modules, and they're just as important. So part of the coaching will be, we're going to go through the three, you know so three each time, to go through
Mhm.
what those are, and what you've learned from them, and again how we can apply those to your own personal situation. So
Yeah.
that's, what we're offering. We encourage people. I think right now probably people are going to be sitting back and they're just focusing on the holidays and being with family and all those things. But just in the back of your mind, have that seed planted, knowing that come January, if you want to put yourself on track financially, that we do have an offering available to you that can assist.
Yeah. I think some of the clients who are working with us already, the work is they're getting the support and
Mm,
they're getting a little bit of that accountability, because sometimes it's nice to
mm,
have somebody help support that accountability. And
yeah,
kind of going back to the capabilities things, this is obviously holiday spending is one of the things that is part of that, but there's a lot more of understanding, how to help fund education, looking at retirement and your spending from day to day,
yeah,
and just understanding credit. So those are just some of the 12 items that people walk through, as far as learning it. And it's all things our education system should be touching upon, but
yeah,
haven't quite been doing a good enough job doing so. Because to have cars. So we talk about car leases and loans, and what are the checks and balances, and understanding those too. So it's a really full blown education understanding of many different things within your day to day life. So
yeah. And another example is we help people identify where budgeting is appropriate
mhm,
and where budgets typically fail, right? Because a lot of people use budgeting as their long-term solution, and it never works out to be a long-term solution. So we'll
yeah,
go through that with people through our program, and I think, from our experience with the clients that we've put through the program, many of them will respond with, "I love that idea. I love that strategy," when we make the recommendations. And
mhm,
again, they're not mind-blowing new strategies. Like, it's things that we've done in the past, things that we know that we need to do. It's kind of like diet and exercise. We know that we should probably eat a certain way. We know we should exercise a certain amount of times a week. We just don't do it. But once there's that accountability, once there's that coach, you're dealing with a dietitian, for example, you're dealing with a personal trainer. Well, now you're accountable to someone. And
Yep.
in that instance, people typically stay on track with their goals because of that
Yeah.
coaching. And that's what we're offering as well through the behavioral cash flow plan.
Yeah. Again, the financial world, as far as wellness, is often the one left off the wellness circle.
Mhm.
But we want to put jam our slice wedge in there as to make
Yeah.
sure that you know that when your financial world is, it allows you the freedom to do and get more support in the rest of the wheel that you have. So
Yeah. And the
um,
program isn't just for single people, families. It's also for business owners as well. And we do assist clients all across the country in North America. So this is wide open in terms of how we're able to help people and the amount of people that we can help. So
yeah.
so I guess we're going to wind things up a little bit. So one of the things that I encourage people to do is we do have a money mindset ebook that's available, no cost. That's complimentary. So what I encourage you to do is if you go to www.tvhcashflow.ca, that'll take you to our ebook. Go ahead and register for it. It's available to you. There's also what's called a money mindset quiz that you can complete. And that we've identified 7 different money mindsets that people generally have. I would say it's almost like astrology because sometimes I'll have people come back and say, "Well, that's not 100% accurate." It's like no, it's not meant to be 100% accurate, but about 80%, it kind of it does get it right. Um, so go through the money mindset quiz to identify what your money mindset is. That'll help you also understand the way you look at things financially and get you back on track as well.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I definitely encourage people to do. Right? Anything else that maybe I've
No,
forgotten?
just be no, just be my holiday season. Uh, find time for yourself through the holiday season, downtime to enjoy it and sit back and enjoy the family time, no matter how crazy it can be.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't always get together with family throughout the holiday year, but just take a moment before you make that big purchase. And is it what is it doing for the family member or the person for? Because you also don't want to put yourself in more financial debt by trying to buy something big. So
and
that
remember to your point, Ryan. It's about just spending time with your family and friends.
mhm,
Just recently in the last couple of weeks, my neighbor 2 houses down from us suddenly passed away.
mhm,
This is right before Christmas. I don't think any one of the family members woke up that morning expecting that that was going to happen. They never see him ever again. So hug the people you love, hug the people that you care about. It's more about spending time than spending money, really, at the
mhm.
end of the day. So just don't forget that part of it. That's what the holidays are really all about, is to just be with the people that you love and love you,
Mhm.
because that's the gift, right? That's the
Absolutely.
gift that keeps on giving until we're no longer around to give those hugs or whatever else. So
Mhm.
to me, that's the most important thing for sure.
And lots of great holidays.
That and I've definitely been enjoying eggnog a lot more than I normally have. Um, Eggnog with a little bit a shot of Disaronto. Oh,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's mwah.
All right.
Alrighty, and for anyone else listening, listen, I'd encourage you to share our episode if you think that this might be helpful to someone as well, to help them stay on track. And feel free to reach out to us, as I mentioned, tvhcashflow.ca. You can email us at cashflow solutions. That's CACHEFLO solutions at tvhgroup.ca, or simply call us at 647 727 4668. And then finally, you can also just message us directly on one of our platforms, and Ryan and I will get back to you. So, Ryan, you have a wonderful holiday season. Hug your people, enjoy your
I will.
time, and everyone, we will see you in 2024. Take care.